Welcome to South of King's Landing, the Explosion Network's Game of Thrones Aftershow. My name's Dylan Blight. Joining me, Ashley Hobley.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here to talk about this week's episode, which was inspired by the Tramp song Disco Inferno.
Well, yeah, it's true. Yeah, I guess. This week's episode is called "The Bells." It was directed by McGill Sapachink, written by Ben F. Wise, and the penultimate episode of not just the season, but the show in its entirety. We get to see the Mad Queen finally arriving, burning King's Landing to a nice crisp, really, and Jon Snow and Obvious finally getting to see the woman they're helping put on the Iron Throne for what she is worth. Let's jump straight into it, I guess. What did you think of this episode overall? Because I'd like to say, in case you haven't seen, or if you don't live on the internet, I think that this episode has the worst reaction out of all of them so far. Or the most mixed reaction.
I guess it's a good thing. You don't want people to be cheering a bunch of innocent people being burned all of a sudden. I like the episode overall. It's a beautiful episode. The cinematography in this is like top notch. Obviously, with all the fire and stuff, it looks pretty great. It probably wasn't as satisfying as I thought it was going to be, or hoped it was going to be. And I feel like that is a feeling that everybody's collectively feeling and reacting to accordingly.
Mm-hmm. In what way? Like the entire thing unsatisfactory, or like certain deaths?
I guess so. Yeah, well, obviously, certain Cersei dying was sort of like
unsatisfactory.
Kind of out of yeah, it wasn't like, obviously we had the Night King die the other week. No, and that was super satisfying for most people.
Yeah.
Or we've had Walter Frey die and Ramsay in that die in ways that felt like a victory for fans, whereas this sort of felt like, oh, she just died. Not that I'm saying that that's the bad ending for her. I think that works kind of in a way. But yeah, then other things. Arya's just running around all episode. She doesn't really do much, and everything when she actually does something, it's not helpful at all.
I think she's in like a horror movie aspect of
she is kind of, yeah.
The episode, really.
But yeah, I think I liked it overall, but I can see why it is divisive.
I'm so all over the place with this episode. It is a real struggle, and I don't know. Like, the thing is, looking at it, like, you can easily tick off certain things about the episode as great. Like, as you said, cinematography, fantastic. The acting, fantastic. The score, once again, fantastic. None of that's really the issue, because at least the thing with episode 3 was, like, on top of people complaining about the story beats, was people then complaining about the cinematography and the, directorial choices. When for this one, it's like the only thing that's really bugging people is always, it's just the story decisions made in this. And even then, I'll say at first it's very easy to put my issues under their story issues, but then I'm like, I don't think it's really story issues in a whole. Like, and we'll break these things down bigger in a moment, of course, as we get to them. But like, say with the Dany becoming the full Mad Queen in this episode, it's not like I have a particular issue with that as a whole. My issue with it lies in how we got there so fast, Yeah. And that's kind of a problem with the season. Well, the last 2 seasons I have in a whole, I guess, is the thing. And for the most part, I have said I've kind of tried to readjust, because I do feel like after season 6, the show kind of changed. And I saw someone describe this episode as watching someone trying to do a sprint while busting to take a shit at the same time. And I was like, that's pretty good, but I'll take it even further and say that watching Game of Thrones as a whole, to me, I feel like you could describe as like seasons 1 to 6 is like you're watching a rally, a longer race, slower paced out. It's all about the long haul. And then it's like suddenly when it gets to that last couple laps, the person, it's just start teleporting towards the finish line. It's like the pacing from seasons 1 to 6 and then to 7 to 8 just change dramatically. And when you have an episode like this, it's so evident when I just feel like so many character beats that I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with as a whole. I kind of have a problem with how he got there is the thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely. Yeah.
So I'm like,
that's understandable.
I don't know if that's an episode problem or just more so a show problem I have as a whole of like, why didn't we get 10 seasons or 9 seasons or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's...
Yeah, definitely. If I feel like if we had one more season to stretch everything, the last 2 seasons out a bit more, it would have felt a bit more... Or we'd have more beats with characters to make...
Yes.
Or have a little bit more foreshadowing or kind of understand where things are coming from. So
yeah. Because I feel like
it's difficult.
I just feel like there's so many... Like every episode we've got pretty much... It's so weird because... And I know we have one episode left, but of course I'm like looking back on the season of a whole already, kind of because we only have one left. And I'm like, I really do, like, unless season 6 is like, unless episode 6 is one of the best of all time, I'm like, episodes 1 to 3 to me are probably going to end up being my, like, I enjoyed those 3 quite a lot.
Yeah.
That first arc, the Night King arc, I guess, of the story. And then after this, I've just been quite iffy on it because there's so many things where I'm like, there's episodes missing of just character building, but then it's really weird considering they spent the entirety of episode 2 just character building. And I'm like, they spent the entire episode
they spent
doing
that character building, everybody except the characters who will be in the last 3 episodes.
Yeah. It's like, let's build up Brienne, let's build up Tormund, let's build up, all these whatever characters, and then whatever. Anyway, so at this stage, I know this is a really weird thing to say. At this stage, I could not tell you if I like, hate, or am okay with this episode. It's been what's the time there? It's been like nearly 12 hours since we watched it, basically, right? As of recording, and this is a really weird place to be in, where my mood towards this episode is constantly changing, and I cannot tell how I how I feel about it. I'm not quite as bad. Like, I'm definitely not in the hate, right? We can knock that out. I'm definitely not like up in arms, like the show's the worst thing ever. I'm definitely not in Nicholas Pryor territory. But at the same time,
throw him under the bus.
Yeah, I've got to throw someone under the bus.
He's not going to watch. It's fine.
It's fine. I'm definitely listen to What Do You Want to Watch, our movie and TV podcast, for his thoughts on Game of Thrones. But I'm definitely not that far. But I would say, like, I'm kind of like in the, did I like it? Do I think it's okay? Like, I have problems with this thing, but I'm like, I did enjoy watching it. Like, it's just such a weird emotions happening with this episode. It's quite interesting. So maybe by talking about the episode, I can figure out how I feel about it.
Figure it out. We'll find out at the end of this episode whether he liked the episode or not.
So let's dive into it. So the first thing that we get in this episode is really all this stuff to do with Varys. So the episode starts with him doing this whole note thing, and then you get to see him talking to Jon as he arrives at Dragonstone about his lineage. You get to see him sending at least one raven, I guess we can presume, from the one note we at least see him writing and finishing, not the one he burns later, which is also really weird. I saw someone point out online, like, he burns a note, starts burning a note, then puts it in something and then closes his lid, which would then exhaust it and stop the note from burning.
No, it's a special oxygen.
Yeah. I was like,
maybe there was holes in the side.
I thought, well, I don't know if it's really that.
It was one of those ones with like holes on the side, but still.
I don't think it's that important, but I like how someone thought that far and to be like, I mean, that's really when you're going nitpicky with the show, I guess, but still made me laugh. So we see him
a small piece of paper would burn pretty quick.
Maybe. We see him sending at least one raven off, I guess, about Jon and his lineage to who?
Somebody.
And if that's important, I don't really know. And then we also find out he's seemingly attempting to murder Dany via a kitchen worker, and I guess poison would be the presumption there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, she's not eating, so.
Yeah, luckily she's not eating.
Yeah.
And then when Tyrion spreads the news of Varys' betrayal, which when Tyrion speaks to Dany about, she kind of just blames it all on Jon and Jon telling Sansa back in the first place, and that's the root cause of the problem, it seems, for her. It's like, it's Jon's fault mainly, and it's also Sansa's fault, and then it's also a little bit your fault, but it's Jon's fault mainly. Jon fucked up. Then she has Varys brought down and burnt to a crisp. I think it's worth noting that she never actually announces what he's done.
Why?
Which is kind of just...
Dictatory.
Dictatory, but because she's just like, I am Daenerys Targaryen, breaker of chains, house, blah, 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 sentence you to death. There's no for, I guess, what would it be for, I can't think of the word.
No sentence or anything.
Well, yeah, but like if she was sentencing him, it would be for betraying the house, betraying me, something.
Betraying the realm or whatever,
betraying the realm, something. She's just like, I sentence you to murder. And then she gets burnt to a title.
Cool shot with the dragon. Like coming out the
just
darkness.
creeping out the back. Yeah, I think she looks really, I just think, like, obviously this whole episode it's just the first time you ever see her, she's like all white and decrepit.
She looks very disheveled.
Yes, and then
because Missandei's not there to do her hair.
Yeah,
but somebody does it at the end.
Then the shot with the dragon coming out is also just like she's there. She's in red, not quite like bright red, but also red, and the dragon appearing out of the back. But yeah, with this whole Varys storyline, I mean, I think there's not much to talk about because it was kind of just a given. He was obviously gonna go. It was an easy assumption to say he was going to get burnt to a crisp this episode after last episodes. I think. Did you think he was going to survive?
Caught.
No, he was. I reckon. I think this was very.
You've had it in for day one, so of course you thought he was going to die.
Yeah, well, he kind of deserved it a little bit, but also I guess
he was right.
I mean, yeah, he is right. I think the number one thing to discuss though is who do you think he mailed off and got word out to, and do you think it's going to be an important piece of information come the season finale next week?
I don't think it will be. I don't know. I guess other people who like to spread rumors and that sort of thing. I guess maybe
Lindsay Lohan,
the Greyjoys would be a smart person to send it to. Maybe try and win their favor to back up Jon.
Yeah, I'm still like, where the fuck are they?
Yeah, and probably like the Maces. The
Maces.
You know where Sam was studying those. Yeah, because they can spread the information obviously from there.
Mm-hmm. It feels like I don't know. Like I would say seasons ago, if we had more time, that would be an important piece of information that could go. We only have an hour 20 left, and I'm like, is him really calling in like some of the people going to be a relevant thing for the plot for next week? And I'm like, probably not. It was probably just a thing that's going to get kind of forgotten about, I guess, as they wrap it up without ever dealing with that or acknowledging it.
Special person could be flying in with a army, on elephants.
Then my thing's going to be like, well, how fucking long? They better like skip ahead a month or something like that. Where the fuck are these? Everyone just learns to fucking teleport all the time in this show now. Doing my head in. But yeah, I don't know how relevant it'll be. We'll have to see. R.I.P. Varys. Rest in peace. So then later we get speaking with Tyrion and Grey Worm. Dany kind of begins talking about her plan and what she's going to do, I guess, which is from the get-go, says, we'll just burn it all down. Tyrion begs her to not burn the tens of thousands in the city, but Dany is blaming it. She kind of seems, and I took it as like she's blaming it on their loyalty to the queen. Like she's been like, well, if they don't want to die, maybe they should fuck off kind of thing. How did you take her just being like, this whole thing?
I think she's at the point where she doesn't care. She just wants to be queen. Yeah.
Gives zero fucks.
So yeah, those were the first signs, obviously, that she was going to do something batshit crazy.
Yeah, I guess so. Tyrion begs if the bells are rung and surrender is given, that she let them all be, which is, of course, what ends up not happening. And then Tyrion Dany sends Grey Worm off to join the fleet before warning Tyrion that he's on his last chance because they caught Jaime trying to sneak into the city. And I'm like, that's not really his fault. Come on now, like we left him up in fucking up there in Winterfell. There's nothing to do with Tyrion. Leave him alone. So then Tyrion and Jon arrive at the camp that's outside, set up outside King's Landing, which I was kind of laughing at for a bit because like they're so close to the wall. I feel like while they're sleeping, someone should just
shoot them.
Wasn't someone just get one of those fucking arrows and just starts bowling him into him, something like that, but it doesn't. And then while they arrive there, we also see and get the Hound and Arya arriving on horseback, and I was like, yeah, nice timing. They happen to have made the trip from Winterfell down to King's Landing in the.
Well, they left the same time as all the other people And yet they got there after everybody had obviously
in that time, John's like gone all the way over here, over here, over here, over here. I know, but it's not like they turned up the day before. Yeah, it's not
we
like
know the boats have like jet engines
before. The afternoon later, they got there on the exact right time so they could be there in the morning for when the shit goes down. It was nice. So they plan as they get through the guards is they're like, we're just gonna go kill Cersei. Just let us through. We'll stop the be no need for a war.
If they got there even earlier, they would have actually gotten there in time.
Yeah, that's the thing. They
would have gotten there before the fighting actually started.
They should have fucking learned how to teleport, right? They should have learned how to teleport.
Yeah, why didn't you catch a ride with John? Hey, I'm going to go Cersei. Give me a ride. I
suppose maybe he wouldn't have let her? No.
I just killed the Night King.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's...
This woman who's just,
Let me bring up those exact words when we get to something a bit later, but... so then Tyrion sneaks in and talks to Jaime, who's arrested, I guess, and tells him to go find Cersei, grab her, sneak out of the city to a dinghy. He's got Sir Davos Tyrion's got Sir Davos to set up at the bottom of the city, and tells him to just go away, run away, start a new life. And then they have a nice emotional moment following this where he thanks his brother for what he did for him as a child. And says that without Jaime, he wouldn't survive because he was the only one that treated him like an actual person, not a
monster.
Yes. Yeah, and really well delivered performance here, I think, from Peter Dinklage. This emotional moment between the two of them was probably one of the standouts, I thought, acting-wise of the episode.
I saw it pointed out to me that in this scene, he's actually Tyrion's taller than Jaime, because obviously Jaime's sort of sitting down on the ground and Tyrion's standing up, so... Sort of him being the bigger brother. The bigger
brother for once, yeah. He's talking about repaying the favor because he gets to break him out as well, like Jaime did him and stuff. So, yeah, I thought it was a nice moment. And then
Lovely scene.
Yeah. Jaime points out that Tyrion will probably die by Dany once she finds out what he did. And he says, one life for tens of thousands, probably worth the fair trade. So, not only do you have Tyrion here helping out his brother, trying to make him just get Cersei, run away, telling him how he feels, saying, love you, big bro. And then also being willing to die for the betterment of all the people inside King's Landing. Definitely not the Tyrion we started the show with back at season 1, I'd say. All those things added up. Very not selfish of him at all.
Yeah.
So I thought that was nice. Then we cut to the morning after all this, and everyone's... The one thing that kind of confused me here at first is I was like, has everyone... Because I don't know how much time has passed between the end of the previous episode and this one, you know what I mean? Because then I'm like... if it's...
Well, they say she hasn't eaten for 2 weeks.
Okay,
which seems crazy. Who can live on no food for 2 weeks?
Well, this show tells you what happens if you don't eat for 2 weeks. You go absolutely fucking mad. Have a Big Mac. Okay, calm the fuck down. Have a Snickers, yeah. Do what you need to do.
Nobody.
I just found it.
You don't know what you're saying when you're getting hungry. Yeah, or whatever the catchphrase is.
I just found it weird because they've had the army set up there. I guess the primary amount, the main amount of their army kind of set up there for 2 weeks. Then camping out, I guess. And then when they cut to this shot in the morning and everyone around King's Landing's like running around like crazy, like. They're running around crazy like they just arrived kind of thing, but they've been sitting there for 2 weeks. Like, how do you know that
they
this
saw
is the
Jon
day?
Snow come in?
Did they? That's how they did? They pulled out their fucking binoculars and spotted him at nighttime. But anyway, so everyone in the city starts going crazy a bit and they're running around trying to find a safe place to hide and get into the main part of the city. I don't know, what would you call the separation between like the outs?
I think it's the keep, right?
Is that what you call like the main inside the main gates, the keep, and then outside that's like the city, I guess?
I have no idea. I'm not a architectural
I don't know.
medieval city expert.
But it's important for this episode somewhat because they obviously Jaime gets cut off from it in a little bit. But anyway, Arya and the Hound inside the city, and they're now walking the grounds, as well as Jaime, who's in a hood. Being all secretive and stuff, and then making
not that secretive because then as soon as he walks in the city, he takes that glove off.
Yeah, he's like, that's the reason he got caught in the first place, is for that fucking golden hand. And the first thing he does when he walks in the city, he's like, I will take it off again. Catch me now, motherfuckers.
It's itchy.
Yeah, maybe. So they're both inside the city, or the outskirts of the city, whatever you want to call it, and they're making their separate ways towards the tower because they're both obviously two groups trying to make their way to Cersei. The Hound and Arya managed to make their way inside the main part of the city, but they're pretty much the last ones, when the last group to make it inside before the doors are locked. And then Jaime, along with thousands, I guess, of civilians, are left in that outskirts part of the city, not the keep or whatever we're calling it. And then he's locked out there, and everyone's like kind of gathering, pushing up against the door. I thought that was going to do a thing where all the civilians were going to start going so crazy that they begin like squashing one another kind of thing against the door, but we didn't get quite to that stage. It was close though, it seems.
No.
So then, thousands begin yelling for the gate to be open, but of course it's not going to be open, and Jaime begins trying to find another way to get inside the tower. And then magical clouds appear over the city. They wash over.
How do you know they weren't there the whole time?
I don't know. I only say magical. Like, I have no problem with this, the way this plays out overall. I just found it funny the way it's like, the way it's edited so that everyone, these clouds just appear out of nowhere and there's like a breeze because everyone just suddenly
because the
starts
shade
looking.
Suddenly comes over the city.
And then everyone starts like looking up like, oh shit, I've never seen shade before. Like, what is happening? It was just the way it was edited, and I was like, this is...
Yeah, it was a bit odd.
It was very much to set up what happens.
But there was also the wind.
Which, there's like, oh
I don't
shit,
think the dragon makes that
where'd
much
this wind come
wind.
from?
Yeah.
Where'd this come from? Never.
Otherwise, people be blowing away every time he freaking lands on the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Or takes off.
Yes, exactly. So I have no problem overall with this scene. It was just this start part that made me laugh a little bit with everyone being like, oh, what's that? A cold breeze? Like, what's happening? What's happening here? So all these clouds start appearing, and then the sun kind of glaring through, and Dany uses this to her advantage and rides in from right above through the clouds and comes down and starts taking out all of the boats, the fleet first, where Euron is. Euron starts trying to shoot at her, but the couple shots they manage to get off miss completely. But by the time they can react to her, they can't like aim them straight up, I guess. They could only aim them like a certain direction upwards. And then also when they try and aim up, the sun's glare is... making them...
It's bright.
Miss.
The sun is very bright.
It's very bright. It's very bright.
You shouldn't look directly into the sun.
That's 100% true. I had no problem. I kind of like this, like using the sun and whatever else to her advantage. I mean, it's a smart plan, right? You got dragon, you got smart plan, sure. But then it does kind of, again, dig in how stupid, to me personally, it digs in.
It was the element of surprise.
It's not that. It's kind of that the dragon's overall power levels is seemingly changed to fit the plot as it's happening, or like how epic and not epic and dramatic and not dramatic and how powerful they want them to be given on a certain day in episode. I just think there's an inconsistency with the dragon's power and ability throughout the episodes.
No.
You know,
I think it was fair last week. They were hit with the element of surprise. He was flying in a straight line, not diverting at all, and he got quickly hit with 3 arrows. That
didn't learn anything from old what was the youngest? Rickon, yeah, didn't learn anything from fucking Rickon. Zigzag, mate, zigzag.
You need to zigzag the whole trip down to Dragonstone.
Yeah, exactly. You need to zigzag at all points in time. So Dany rides in. She takes out the TIE fleet. Euron has to jump off ship at one stage to be able to survive here. And it's like, oh shit, it is on, son.
It's on.
It's on. Dany then begins burning the mounted weapons on the walls, and then as she begins taking those out, eventually we cut to the front where Jon and Grey Worm and the rest of the army were kind of just facing off against the Golden Company. No one's beginning the battle yet because Grey Worm got told to wait for the sign. The sign comes when the gate just suddenly fucking explodes from behind, which I like to think... I don't know how much he landed, because I just like to think that the dragons like landed a little bit inside the city and then like being all sneaky and it's creeped up real close to the gate and then like just boom.
I don't think that's what happened.
And then
They could hear it coming.
Yeah, they could
They
hear it
just didn't
slightly.
realize where it was.
Yeah, they were looking around a little bit, but I still like to think this dragon should
They
snuck
didn't
up real
it's
close.
right behind us.
Yeah, you'd think you'd notice it.
And
But,
in one explosion, he took out the entire Golden Company.
yeah, which is quite funny because they built the Golden Company up to be this big, like, they're trouble.
Adversary.
They're going to be real trouble.
Yeah.
And I've read about them in the books because they introduced into the books a lot earlier, apparently, like, I don't know, like book 4 or 5, something. I fucking don't know. But they introduced a lot earlier, and several times they win battles quite easily, and in the books are proven to be this massive, force to be reckoned with, one of the smartest battle groups ever. And then in the TV show, they never do anything with them. They just introduce them, and then they get blown the fuck up. It was quite funny. But I like the way it all happened. Of course, the gate bursts open, and most of them are taken out. And
there's the smug guy. The smug general guy.
Yeah, smug general guy. He's just the last one left there. Well, there's a couple others, but we see him kind of running away, and then he's stabbed through the back by Grey Worm, which was you could tell he's taking that, like, even though he wasn't the one that cut Missandei's head off, it was like, here we go. Let's kick it into gear. You first, and then about another 1,000 of you motherfuckers left. So they all charge in, and overall, this sequence was quite cool because obviously it's necessary and it kind of just shows and is necessary for the rest of the episode because it's like how easily they pull it off. Really,
they won in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, they won so easily, and that's like the point, kind of, to show how easy they won, and they not would win, but they literally win in a moment. And so it's although it is funny, the Golden Company built up to this massive thing, and then bam, just take it down. I was like, it's good. So, and then we do get to see Cersei's reaction to this for the first time, and overall Cersei in this episode. Another thing I forgot to mention before, just overall I feel like she was completely unutilized this season, and particularly this episode, because
that's what I said. Was it last week or? I'm like, we need more scenes with Cersei.
And I thought she was going to be heavy in this episode. I just kind of
what was she going to do?
I presume that she was
carry a sword or anything.
Well, no, I thought it would just be kind of spending a lot of the episode with her ordering people around, reacting to things. I thought it was going to be a much more.
Yeah, it didn't go the way we thought it was going to go.
It went the complete opposite way that we thought it did.
It was more of a landslide victory than we expected.
Yeah, 100%. But then it kind of makes me look back at the rest of the season and be like, wow, it's so, because look, I stick by what I said, which was that I always thought that Cersei was a bigger bad guy than the Night King. But then I guess they're trying to say that, who's a bigger baddie than the Night King? Cersei. Who's a bigger baddie than Cersei? Dany.
Yeah.
I guess that's the point.
What they say. You know the saying, there's always a bigger fish.
There's always a bigger fish, yeah. So we do get to see Cersei. She's watching up in the shower. She's a little bit shaken. You can tell by the look on her face.
Shower?
The tower? Sorry.
Yeah.
And she's witnessing what's happening, but then she begins making excuses to Qyburn. Whatever is it? How do we say his name? Qyburn. Sure, thank you. About what's happened. At first, he's like, we need to go, and she's like, no, the fleet will protect us. And he's like, the fleet's taken out. She's like, oh, well, our people will fight harder. They'll fight better than any sellswords. The Red Keep's never fallen, and it won't today. Like, she's very naive about what's happening around her and the whole situation that's happening. Not really up with what it is. And then, but when she said the Red Keep has never fallen, it won't today. I heard that, that voice from things like, spoilers, it did. Like,
Ron Howard. Yeah.
Ron Howard thing. Yeah. That's exactly what I heard in that moment. So that was quite funny. Okay. So then, was there anything? I thought I was going to say nothing I was going to expand on here. I thought it was, but never mind. Inside the city, we get Jon and the remaining Queen's Guard, I guess is what we'll call them, because it's like, it's weird. It's weird to say Queen in an episode when we're like, there's 2 queens. Which one are we talking about?
The Lannister.
The Lannister forces. Yeah. So Jon and Grey Worm and the rest of them are facing off against the Lannister forces, and they're having a bit of a eye off here for a hot minute or so, and then they all start dropping their swords because their commander or the captain or whatever of all of them begins dropping their swords, and then Tyrion we see just waiting and staring off at one of the bells in the distance, just hoping to hear it chime. I don't know if he's waiting for
That's where I thought Jamie was going.
to ring
Because
the
obviously
bell.
in between this, he was cut him running.
Yeah,
I thought he was going to ring the bell, sort of like call everything off.
I never believed he would do that. He's too he's just going straight for Cersei. I never believed that was going to be. I thought Tyrion was waiting for Jamie to show up though. I thought that that's what he was like. Come on, Jamie, you can do it, Jamie. Ring that fucking bell. Do what's necessary. Although it did make me think, like, if all you need to do to make have everyone surrender is ring one of these bells, why couldn't one of like the random soldiers from Cersei's army just be like, fuck this shit, walk up the tower, ding ding ding, yep, we give up, like it's all over.
Well, that's what they did. It's a very tall tower.
Okay,
You saw how tight it is. How long does it take you to get up those stairs in that full armor?
Ages. I don't know. I don't know. It took a while, at least in the show. After they all begin dropping swords, it does take a hot minute, and everyone's looking around and be like, "What the hell's going to happen?" And then the bells start ringing, and I was like, "Oh shit, that's interesting." Cool.
Yeah, the episode.
They won. I guess the rest of the episode's going to be dealing with Cersei, finding her.
Politics.
Some politics type stuff, discussions, character,
a trial of some sort,
something like that. That's exactly what my mind was thinking. And then Danny's like, oh, fuck. Nah.
No.
Nah, bro. So she gets fueled with rage, I guess. Just I saw in the Insider Game of Thrones or whatever they call it, the thing, either Benioff or Wise was saying that she, in their mind, she looks over, sees the tower or whatever, thinks about what happened to her friends, thinks about her getting taken away as her childhood, how everything here kind of represents everything wrong with her, her life, I guess, somewhat. And then she just gets filled with rage with like everything that's happened. And it's just like, not only like she doesn't care about the civilians because in her mind, they're like associated deeply to the Lannister Baratheon lineage, like history and stuff of King's Landing. So she's like, yep, fuck him. They can all burn. And then she literally does what her dad tried to do. But Jamie stopped her dad.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
It was it's an interesting combination, obviously. First, in the previously on section of the episode, they obviously had that shot of her looking at Missandei getting killed, but they cut it with like audio clips from previous seasons of like,
even back to season 1 with her brother being like, you don't want to wake the dragon.
Yeah, different things that you've like normally on the previously on is just cut footage. They haven't cut it interestingly in previous ones of those. So that was always them like, oh, she's definitely going to go crazy this episode.
I think we already knew that, but
they sort of guided it. Also, earlier in the episode, he says that Mercy's a weapon and like she's going to wield it or whatever, and like she's going to instill fear in the people and that sort of thing. So. I guess that moment of her actually winning but not being content with just winning, I guess it was the thing, kind of sent her over the edge.
Kind of, I don't know, it begs a question about a character a little bit for someone who's for so long been on a war path, I guess. Yeah. And they do obviously do, what was it, season 3, where it's like she stays in the city for a while because it's like, if you want to rule, you better learn how to rule.
Marine or whatever. Yeah.
Marine, yeah. So that kind of like set up with the whole, if you need to learn how to do this here so you can do it later. But then I often wonder if someone's whole life or like a big part of their life has been centered on this rampage, could they ever really, stop, settle down, like just chill on the Iron Throne and be like, this is cool. There's no one to kill. There's no mission objective. What are we doing? We're just chilling. Sometimes I do wonder if Dany could ever actually do that, but
yeah, she wasn't content with surrender.
No, she wanted to fucking burn them all, which is exactly which is what she begins doing. So she begins flying around and starts burning left, right, and center, civilians, soldiers, buildings, just fucking everything.
Like, everyone. She didn't go for the keep. She just started from the wall.
Yep.
And just everyone
goes for it. Now, the last thing kind of on this, I guess, before we move on a little bit, is another thing that kind of annoyed me with this, and like taking aside my feelings of we needed more episodes to get her to this stage thing, because although I believe that, solely focused on this episode, I don't know if it was a purpose done on choice for something I don't understand or what, but the fact that the last shot we ever see of her in this episode is that the close-up of her face right before she goes mad, I guess, and then she leaves, and then they purposely choose to never show you her face again. I don't know if in their mind they've done that to be like, yeah, we're not showing you her because I guess the rage and the fire represents her good enough. But then to me, I'm like, I don't know, I might have found it more interesting and more emotional to see the rage-filled Danny riding around, like doing this, you know what I mean? Like some emotion behind it, because maybe they think the void of Danny and just this drag and destroying everyone's more important and impactful. But I'm like, is it though? Like, I don't know. Where do you fall on that? Because it's obviously a choice.
That was definitely
a
something I noticed during the episode. I'm like, wow, they're not showing Danny at all. She's just this figure.
Yeah.
Destroying shit.
Yes. So
there was no like a connection or anything. Yeah.
Yeah. I do wonder, because I'm like, it's obviously a choice that was made either by the director or by Danny and Ben Elf on the writing side, or like a combination of all of them, because it really, that last shot is all you get. So I would like to know what they think it represents to not have her riding around or ever cutting to a shot of her at all after the moment she goes mad. Never see her. That's it. She's gone mad now. The dragon is all you'll get now.
Maybe it's going to be a cool reveal next week.
Maybe. Well, I suppose like another angle to look at it is the whole, like from a civilian standpoint, like for everyone that's around watching her, they don't know what she looks like either, but they'll always, even if they did know what she looks like tomorrow, they're always just going to remember her as this dragon flying in the air, just destroying shit, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, that's how people are introduced to Danny. But this is kind of what Cersei was saying originally, you know, about how would she rule these people if that's all they thought about. And Danny's answer is, well, I won't rule them. I'll kill them all. It's a interesting solution to the problem somewhat.
It is. You kill all these people, you don't have to get their trust.
No, you certainly don't, yeah.
Respect.
And with the Australian election coming up, maybe what?
No, don't. It's so bad.
So yeah, as she begins burning down everyone and stuff, Grey Worm heeds the sign and throws a spear straight ahead into the captain, and then the battle kind of kicks off once again. Jon, though, is shocked and is attempting to stop the fighting as it's happening. Jon,
because they're killing unarmed men.
Yeah, unarmed and
up.
surrendering, and men that surrendered, and like you can say a lot of things about Jon, which is like he's dumb, and I think that's I'm 100% on the Jon is very dumb at times, very naive,
dumb and naive, yeah,
dumb and naive a lot. But he's honorable and proud,
yeah,
and that's what got him killed in the first place, much like his adopted father, I guess. But like that all comes back to being raised by Ned, of course. And in this moment, it's very much like you could tell throughout this episode several times, like before the battle even started and conversations he had with Danny and stuff. I feel like he knew where this was going to go. I just feel like it's one of those things where in the back of his mind, he knew this is where it was going. Like he could have sensed it, could have known. But Jon Snow knows nothing, and this is what ends up happening. So Jon even actually has to end up killing one of his own men to stop a civilian being killed.
Someone from the north, yeah.
Someone from the north.
Which is because he's trying to rape somebody.
Right, well, yeah, it looked like that they were going to. It looked like
it, yeah. Because they started killing civilians, killing women, children. Yep. It's kind of messed up.
Very messed up.
Like, not even the Unsullied, the actual people from the north.
Yeah. Like, yeah, that was a Northman. And he had to kill one of his own Northmen, which is... As I said, like, we only got one episode, which is kind of annoying, because I'm like, the fact that Jon Snow kills one of his own Northmen is such an interesting point to explore. You know, like what that would do for him as the character, what that would do for potentially other people. I don't know, just there's lots of things there, and we're not going to get the chance to, but at least in this moment, it kind of shows that Jon, above all else, is honorable and, you know, stands by what he believes in, apart from Danny, which he obviously doesn't believe in anymore. I don't think she's kind of crossed the line here. Davos too, we can see at one point beginning to help lead civilians to safety amongst all the chaos as well, which I'm sure he's thinking similar things about what the fuck is going on? What are we doing? There's even one shot where John and Grey Worm share like an evil kind of look at one another, which I'm like, are they going to fight? Are they going to fight? But they never did.
Week.
They never did, at least this episode. Yeah, maybe next week we'll have to see. Danny then makes her way up to the keep, destroying it as starts like knocking out several of the towers, I guess. Somehow getting to the one Cersei's in last. Or at least not
she wants to make us squirm.
I don't know if she knows which one she's in, though, is the thing.
That's true. The big one. She was in the big one.
Yeah, maybe.
The main one.
And as this all is happening, Jamie has made his way around to the bottom of the tower there, the keep, or whatever the fuck, and the secret boat where he would be leaving. And look, try and explain this one to me. This is just perfect silly writing, which is that Euron happens to be washing up there at the exact moment that Jamie's coming through. This one was the worst contender for me of the whole episode out of coincidental bullshit that was happening.
Maybe he knew about that secret passage.
Not having it.
Well, yeah.
Also,
can't help coincidences, Dylan. You can't help coincidences.
Well, look, I hate, and I talked about this obviously last week. I don't like Euron. I think he's badly written and shit character. And then also him washing up here, and then we get this fight between Euron and Jamie, where Euron stabs Jamie right through his body once, and then another side, and then Jamie eventually comes out victorious as he takes Euron right through the gut at one point, and Euron just lays there dying, and his last words is real happy because he gets to be like, I'm the one who killed Jamie Lannister, fuck yeah. And
he's probably thinking, yeah, I put a baby in your sister.
And he's like, I put a baby, but you really didn't. And as I said last week, came to full fruition. I gave zero fucks about anything that was really going on here.
Yeah.
Zero fucks. It's like Euron dying was the least eventful thing that I could care about in this whole episode. Boring character. Now, I say, like, I feel like I mostly critique this show fine, right? You know, I don't feel like I'm too nitpicky. But with Euron, terrible character. It's the only terrible character on the show, as far as I'm concerned. Now, some people would argue that they've turned good characters into terrible characters with bad writing. No. I'm saying on a base level, Euron was never a good character. He was never good then bad. He was always bad.
Yeah, he was an evil character.
Terrible bad guy.
I like this tweet from Katie Rich from Vanity Fair. I have nothing good to say about Euron, but going out insisting he won the fight is extremely on brand.
That is true. I can pay that at least. Yeah, I can pay that. I was like, just get out of this show already. I fucking wish you died. Annoying. He's not a bad character. He's just annoying. He's not even like evil. He's annoying. Fuck off, you wannabe pirate. So then we got Cersei, who's still up being very naive in the castle about the whole situation that's happening, but then she finally heeds Cubans, whatever, warnings, and they begin leaving, heading down the tower. She's, everything kind of beginning to rumble and fall around. She might be the final say, especially as you're looking at it and you see this dragon literally burning at this point half your fucking city as it makes its way zigzagging up and down like she should have always rode the dragon up, down instead of straight, but never too late to learn. At the bottom of the tower, we have Arya and the Hound finally arriving. And now this is another thing that I've found quite weird, because they get there, and then the Hound says something along the lines of, listen, girl, the whole place is crumbling. The dragon will kill Cersei, or this will, or the Dothraki will. It's not safe for you. You might get hurt. Why don't you head on home? And whatever variation of that he said, to which I was like, you're saying that now? This fucking bitch just killed the Night King, and you're trying to be like, oh, listen, little precious girl, are you going to be okay? You should head out because it's getting dangerous now. It wasn't dangerous when we was fighting the Night King. It was dangerous when there's rubble. I'm like, come on now, just fucking.
To be fair, there was no coming out of that building. Nobody in that building got out alive, so he was right.
technically. She was in the
Well,
building.
she did
and then
because
did
she
leave.
took his advice.
I know, but I was just like, there's one thing. I was just like, she fucking killed the Night King. I think she can.
She's destined for bigger and better things.
Yeah, maybe. So, and then the Hound pushes on, and Arya takes the moment and says, "Thank you, Clegane." Uses his real name as he heads on.
Seals his death.
Seals his death. Yeah, I guess. And
you don't thank people in this world.
then she heads outside. I like that moment a little bit. They've obviously had a lot of history. Her just giving that like thank you, leaving. Because he says you don't want to end up like me, just filled with nothing but revenge. But then at the same time, I'm like, and we can talk about Arya. We'll save that for a little bit because I've talked about most Arya stuff towards the end of the episode. But I'm like, I think Arya's just going to want revenge come next episode anyway. Surely, like that's what we're. But so inside the tower, hey,
we'll get to it.
Yeah, inside the tower, the Hound finally comes face to face with Cersei, a couple guards, and his brother. Now, the couple smaller goon guards charge at the Hound at first. The Hound takes us out with ease, and then he says, I like this line where he's just like, hello, big brother. I was like, oh, shit. Shit's about to go down here. Then Cersei, as the mountain begins walking towards his younger brother, Cersei begs Sir Gregor, stay by my side. And then Qyburn, whatever.
Like the first time the mountain's disobeyed.
He's about to fucking die. Fuck his name. Fuck him. He's about to die. Fuck you. He tries to stop the mountain and it's like, no, listen to stay and protect your queen. And then the mountain just kind of pushes his face completely into with such force that his face like fucking smashes straight to the rock.
His back of his head explodes on a rock.
Yeah, I think that was the only
brains everywhere.
That was the only death in this whole episode I think I was 100% happy with. I felt like that
killed by his own creation. Yeah,
I felt like that was a good way for him to go, and worked out quite nicely.
Sudden, but yes,
it's sudden. But I mean, he's a B character or a C character. What do you want to call it? Like I didn't need something big, and for him to get killed by the monster he created, I thought was poetic, of course, as they are when anyone gets killed by their own creation like that. So yeah, I like that. Go buys. Cersei then just kind of, I'm just gonna. Go walk past you,
game just lets it.
Yeah, well,
Sandor just the Hound lets him.
Yeah, he
lets her
he
go
knows.
past.
He knows
just like pushed her down the stairs, saved everybody some time.
He knows that she's fucking dead anyway. Like he knows, and it's not important. So I can forgive him on that one. So then the Hound and the Mountain finally start Clegane Bowl. It's on. Let's get down to it.
It's on.
It's on like doggery do. The Hound begins attacking.
The Mountain has a higher ground.
Well, yeah, yeah, really. The Hound begins attacking several fast slashes and stuff, and ends up manages to knock off the zombie Mountain's helmet, and we finally get to see what he looks like under there fully, which is
like a zombie.
Like a zombie, yeah. I mean, there's really no way to put it. Really, is he looks like a fucking? He looks like a more animated, not fully brain dead zombie. He's still got some function stuff happening, but he ultimately just looks like a zombie. So then. The Hound manages to slam his sword through the mountain, but then the mountain just kind of throws Clegane away and begins pulling out the sword because he feels no pain, it seems. And then he walks up and begins smashing the Hound's face in a whole bunch and punching him and whatever else, and then picks him up. And the Hound manages to pull out a dagger at this point and begins stabbing the mountain everywhere, fucking arms, back, wherever he can reach. And then the mountain begins crushing the Hound's eyes in, much like he did the Vipers, except for he wasn't right on top of him. So I thought that was good throwback, Well, shitty fighting move that he pulls out at all points of time, but good callback, obviously. It
was a finisher.
Yeah, finisher for sure. And then, but as he's doing this, the Hound manages to drive the dagger right into the top of the zombie mountain's head, and manages to stagger him back for a little bit. And then as the Hound lands on the ground, and open up what he can of his eyes, I guess, with whatever vision he's got left. He sees that his zombie brother is just pulling that thing out of his head, which is kind of the confirmation I needed personally as well, because as I'm watching the fight, I'm just like, stabbing him in the fucking head, like, surely that's going to kill him. Why are you stabbing him in the arm, the back? You know what I mean? Like, you're like, it's a zombie. Yeah. Come on. Clegane, haven't you watched fucking any zombie TV shows to get the head?
I don't know. He saw the White Walkers.
That's true.
You just stab them when one pots, and then they die.
That's true. But yeah, when he sees that his zombified brother is pulling out the thing from his head, I think at that point he's just like, yeah, I can't kill him. There's no way to kill him. So he charges at him rugby style, knocks him through the remaining debris that's left in the tower, and the two of them go tumbling down into the fiery pits of hell below. Did you like the way?
Yeah, it was a fitting end, I guess.
Grain bowled out.
It was good overall. Good segment. Obviously the Hound did he? The mountain took all the other damage. Is he going to freaking falling from a giant building and landing in a pit of fire? Is that going to kill him?
I think we have to just kind of presume.
Probably the fire will burn him away, you would think.
I think you just have to kind of presume because it's not really worth worrying about come next week. Let's just presume.
Or is it? The mountain comes in and kills everybody.
Yeah, imagine that. What a fucking horrible ending that would be. No, let's just presume that the fire does definitely do the trick. Slowly.
Sad that he ends up dying in fire, though.
The Hound, yeah. No, that's
kind of fitting, yeah. But
well, it's not fitting. It's.
I guess it's fitting that he pushes the mountain into fire that causes him to die. Whereas the mountain was the one who burnt him in the first place.
I didn't mind the fight itself. And that was shot really nice. Like there's in the video version of this, if you're watching the video version, the picture I've got up at the moment of them on the staircase, like a really nice looking shot and stuff. But overall, I would say I was quite disappointed in Clue Game Bowl.
What?
I just feel like
you wanted it to be more definitive, or
no? I don't feel like the fight was overall very well executed, like choreographed. And this might be this is obviously, well, I don't know if it's not obviously because I reckon there's a bunch of other people with similar thoughts to me, surely. But I was expecting a more interesting fight, much like the Hound versus Brienne. You know, that was a much more interesting and involved sword fight, whereas this was a very sloppy, I felt, not highly choreographed, just
but.
Fight.
That makes sense for the two fighters. Mountain is just pure strength. He's no finesse or anything, whereas Brienne is obviously a bit more of a trained fighter.
I guess.
So,
but then also I'm not a big fan of the way they go out together with the Hound ending up in fire. Like, and that may just be because I'm like, that character has had such an arc where he's kind of redeemed himself. And then for him just to go out in the worst way possible for him to personally go out, I think that's
killing his brother, the one thing he's been wanting all season.
Yeah, but then he kills himself also in fire. I'm like, just.
Well, once you get what you want, what's the point of going on?
I guess
don't take that advice.
It was all right. I was disappointed though, personally. So then, at the bottom of the tower, Jaime finally runs into Cersei, and the two embrace a little bit before, and, you know, she's crying. She's like, oh, no. At first, I thought she was actually going to, for a second there, I was like, oh, shit, she's going to stab him. Like, for a hot second, I was like, oh, shit, she's about to stab Jaime. That would be
she did say, don't come back, or whatever, last time.
Yeah.
If you come back, it's whatever.
And then, I don't know if you're aware, but she tried to have him killed by a horrible Z plotline that was in the season. By crossbow.
Yeah, I was surprised Bronn didn't show up.
Thank God.
Actually, I wasn't surprised.
Thank fucking God. Get Bronn out of here.
There was part of me that was like, maybe Bronn. No. Maybe.
Get the hell out of here, Bronn. So then at the bottom of the tower, Jaime finally finds so run into the brace for a little bit, and then they head on back the way Jaime came, and they're trying to find their way back to the boat. But when they arrive in the underground caverns, or whatever you want to call it, they find that the way to the boat has been blocked. A bunch of rebels come in and they all blocked it off, and they embrace once again. And Cersei's saying, "I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I don't want to die here. Not like this. I want our baby to live." You know, variations of these sorts of things. And then Jaime just kind of holds her, and the roof collapses in on them. And that's how Jaime and Cersei go out.
Yep.
So, how do you feel about those two characters going out in that way?
I don't love Jaime going out that way. I think I'm looking up something somebody wrote about Cersei. Seeing a lot of folks saying she got off easy, death wasn't satisfying enough, and I get it. We all crave for a sadistic, torturous demise because she's a right bitch. But man, people writing the writers really hard this season for a bunch of people who would be lousy at writing. Cersei died terrified, For once fucking afraid and meek and mortal in the collapsing tunnels of her roasting capital, no final stand of glory grandeur, no witness to a martyred queen's end at the hands of a political assassin or usurper tyrant, she died without glory obscure. So, I guess, in a sense, it's kind of fitting that she dies with a whimper more than a roar.
Yeah, I personally don't really have any problem with the way Cersei dies. Like, if she'd got down to that cavern by herself and just gone out the exact same way, just by herself, kind of crying, because this is the first time we also see her cry, like in this episode.
Yeah.
She finally breaks, of course, and that's what...
Like this episode.
Yeah, because she's obviously been keeping in. There's those other times where year on, you could tell she was nearly close to crying, but she was keeping in, being all tough and.
Are you talking? Yeah, well, are you talking about the season or the series, or?
It's the first time
she cried when the kids died.
Yeah, we've seen her cry like once or twice before, I guess, but not really in this fashion, like this, and not since then, and especially the last 2 seasons where she's been trying to be so strong and tough and stuff. So if she'd got down there and then died the exact same way, you know, whimpering and crying and begging and praying for her life or anything like that, just without Jamie there, I would have been quite fine. I think Jamie's death, I don't know. I don't like it. Full stop. That's like, let's just lock it in.
It's kind of sad that one episode ago, he was with Brienne.
Yeah. I don't understand what they did with his character throughout this entirety of this show. I don't know. Are people going to argue with me and be like, it's poetic that he dies, like, after everything he goes through, it just proves that, like, he was blah, blah. I'm like, I don't, because he went through so much. He was one of the characters in this show, I think, that actually had the most character development from first season to this final season. He was one of the characters who had changed the most as a person, and was one of the most interesting characters of the show, I think. He went from kind of being someone that you didn't despise, I wouldn't go that far, but as a viewer, you would definitely like, he's a bad guy, I don't really like him. And then he went from that to being a character that, as an audience member, you liked and you were rooting for and was hoping would actually survive and these sorts of things. So I think just to kind of shove that all away and shove aside everything that happened with Brienne and all that sort of stuff, it's just shit. Personally, I don't think it's good. Full stop.
I don't know. I think it might be like a toxic relationship. You know how like sometimes people go back to people who they know are bad for them constantly, even if they've grown or whatever. It even adds to like Cersei's death. Obviously, everything she's done has led to her dying in that dungeon with her unborn baby and the love of her life. So
I guess like there's other things that just annoy me about it too. Like with the Brienne scene, the people who were pissed about it for certain reasons, I wasn't with them, because I was like, in my mind, it was Jamie's leaving her because he's going to kill her sister, you know, something along those lines. But now it really is just, Jamie fucked over Brienne, and after all that, Jamie really was a fuckboy that fucked her and left. There was no torment. Like story of him, like in his mind being like, I've got to leave to do this one last thing, and then like, even though thinking he may not come back, like thinking maybe there's a chance I could survive and come back to a happy life with Brienne and all these sorts of things, which is how I thought that whole scene and thing played out. It really was, he fucked Brienne, opened up his heart to her, made her open up her heart to him, and then he just fucked off and left like an asshole. There was never no happy ending for that story, which fucking pisses me off quite a lot.
Well, that's what happens in real life, Dylan.
Try and real life me, motherfucker, with the show of the dragons flying around. Jesus Christ.
The relationships and personal interconnections are all real, Dylan. Sure, there's some fantastical elements, but the politics and all that is real.
I just feel like
it's based on real life.
I don't understand.
I know it's sad to see Jamie go that way, but
and my girl Brienne, what the fuck is she doing now?
Now she can move on.
She was in love with Jamie from day one. So, anyway, let's move on, because I'll complain about.
She'll go north.
This is one of the things that annoyed me most about the episode. It's just this Jamie thing personally, but so then we've got we'll finish off with what Arya was dealing with this episode. So Arya attempts to make her way out of the city after she leaves the Helm, with people running crazed everywhere, dragon fire bursting all around her, destroying stuff's falling, there's people everywhere. The wildfire now begins exploding all around, and we see the shot of John where it's exploding through buildings and these sorts of things as well.
It's weird that there's just random
they don't
pots of wildfire all through the city, I guess.
It was hidden underground. They talk about it once before, and it was always played like it was going to be a major plot point. Eventually, like part of Cersei's big plan, she'll use it to kill a bunch of people or something like that. But they just kind of have it explode in this episode briefly in the background, but no one really talks about it or mentions it or anything. But and as
it's a nice touch to add it though.
I guess they remembered it was there. Good on yous. So John calls the the retreat of a bunch of people while this is all happening. Shit's going crazy as Dany continues burning everything down. Arya gets caught in a stampede, I guess is what we'd call it, and starts getting trampled on the ground. But a woman with a small child manages to pull her out of it, and then she begins.
This woman shows up several times
throughout the episode. Briefly, yeah. I was like, this woman.
Was the child the same child from the start with Varys? I wasn't 100% certain. I doubt it, now that I think about it.
I don't think so. It was a child from within the city, not one of the kitchen staff from Dragon's
that
Gate.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, you get back in the corner. So
all children look the same to me.
Jesus Christ. So she begins running with the small child and the mother, but then they get separated when a blast goes off caused by, I don't know, dragon debris, something anyway. Then she awakes covered in dust and bodies littered all around her. And she's kind of bit out of it. Now, then she begins running away from a falling tower, and then she ends up inside of a building where many are hiding out. Now, I saw people bring it. Now, I never put this together, but I saw people talking about, and I'm like, yeah, that kind of makes sense, that they reckon that this scene of her awaking with like dust and bodies and everything, and then the tower kind of falling, they reckon that was supposed to invoke like 9/11 feelings. People were saying. Well, people, at least, I saw people online saying that they got 9/11 feelings.
I think people would get that, but I don't think it was intentional. I think it just made sense. If a tower falls, that's what it's going to look like.
I guess. I don't know if, I don't know what they would be going for.
Especially when they're just walking on sand.
Yeah, I found it interesting when I saw someone bring it up, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess I could understand how you could see that, but then I'm like, what would be the purpose in invoking that imagery? Like, what's it mean for Arya as a character? And I couldn't figure out.
It's a metaphor for Dany being Al Qaeda.
Wow. Yeah, that's one direction to go about, I guess. So yeah, she ends up inside this building, and then there's a bunch of people hiding out in there, including the woman and child, who she just ran away with just before, and she tells them that they need to leave and they need to begin running or they're all going to die, which of course leads to death in a moment. But I still think she was right to make them leave, because staying inside a building that could just get blown up at any second or crushed or something, I think they're all in it. They are all in a situation of either run and try to get the fuck out of the war zone, or I just feel like they're kind of fucked. So I don't feel like Arya made the bad decision of saying let's go, because one Dothraki could walk in that building and just kill them all anyway. You know, like they're just going around slaughtering people, which is
a meteor could fall from the sky and hit us at any moment.
Calm down. It'll only hit you. You're in Queensland. I'm in Tasmania. So
two meteors could split and.
So when she begins running down the street with this woman and child, and we get to see Dothraki, at least one Dothraki person charging from behind and like just kind of
what? Side note:
killing people.
Heaps of Dothraki.
I told you this though. Remember the other episode where I was like,
I thought they were overestimating how many Dothraki they had.
No, remember the other episode? I said last week that they literally said only half the Dothraki were gone, and you're like, oh yeah, but no. I don't know where the other half were during the battle for Winterfell. I have no idea. However, half the Dothraki survived. So, like,
maybe half the Dothraki stayed south because it was too cold.
Maybe, I don't know, but the half
half of them stayed at Dragonstone to protect that.
Maybe,
and the other half went up. Yeah,
I can't keep up because they
drew straws as to who was going to go up to the cold north. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Fanfic.
So she's I think you're fanficking a lot of stuff. So the Dothraki is kind of hitting people all around, and the woman appears to be, I don't know, was she hit by the Dothraki or just kind of trampled on a little bit? I couldn't figure out
I think she was trampled on a little bit.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't quite sure, but she's trampled on a little bit. Then Arya goes back, picks her up, tries dragging the mother and the child up the street a bit further. And I didn't mind this whole sequence because it was, as I was saying, like Arya's whole sequence of events that happened here kind of played out a little bit like a horror movie, especially while this is all happening, you see the dragon in the background kind of just coming in. And you know what's about to happen while they're all running down the street and getting knocked over, and Arya's going back to help them and all these sorts of things. And then at the last second, the woman falls and she can't get on the ground. She's yelling to Arya, just take my child. But the child's obviously trying to get back to her mother. And then at the last second, because the dragon's coming in, Arya has to let go of the child and jump out of the way of the street to get away from the dragon fire, which is coming through. And then when the fire has stopped, Arya walks back into the street and she finds the woman.
No, she's like unconscious on the ground.
Oh, she's knocked out for at least, it could be hours, I guess.
Yeah. Did your heart skip a beat?
I thought she was gone for a second, but then I'm like, they wouldn't have done her like off-screen death wise, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't too, for a hot second my brain was like, oh shit, but then I was like, nah, that's not the way they'll do it if they were doing it. There's no way that wouldn't happen.
Yeah. They didn't like, the shot was good because they didn't stay on it too long.
Yeah. It scared me for a second, but not long enough because I started thinking, oh, no. So yeah, Arya awakes after this, I guess. It seems like it's hours later. It could be, it seems like at this point Dany might have stopped even, like it's way later. And Arya walks back out into the street and finds the child's body wrapped around her mother's in a big old charred mess together. And then she spots a horse, which she then pets and rides out. I have no idea if the horse is simply there as a way to get her out of the city or that section of city a lot faster, or there was some symbolism there. And if there's symbolism to do with the horse showing up and all these sorts of things, I have no idea. And I completely miss whatever symbolism they may be going for. But I honestly feel like there's supposed to be symbolism there, but I'm just missing it.
Yeah. There's some sort of explanation for it. We haven't figured it out yet. Or, have you seen the other theory that the horse is Bran? Bran's walking.
Bran's doing something useful? Fuck me dead. No way. I don't believe this theory at all.
Yeah, that's why it's not believable.
There's no way Bran would do something useful. That's a load of shit. No way do I believe that. But, I mean, that would be cool, but no. There's no way that's happening. I just thought it was supposed to be symbolic of something, but I'm like, a horse? From the fire, a horse emerges. Like, the horse has nothing to do with the Starks. Like, I don't know. I was trying to put it all together.
She's sort of riding off into the sunset. That was her last hurrah, maybe?
No, because she's in the trailer for next week. It's not like she disappears.
Is she?
Yeah. You see her, like, looking through the crowd at one point.
But I feel like that she doesn't want to fight any, like, all her life so far she's wanted to be a warrior. Mm-hmm. I think this experience is like, yeah, I don't want to. This isn't the life I really want.
You reckon? All right, well, let's tie that in because we'll talk about what we think is going to happen in the final episode now, I guess. But
yeah.
So do you actually think that Arya now, after what's happened, is just going to take off for a city? Because unless I'm full of shit, I'm pretty sure that I saw her in the trailer and was. I'm going to double check. Just you keep talking. What you explain to me what you think is going to happen.
I don't necessarily think she's done with fighting. I think she realizes there's a bigger picture and she needs to help Jon overcome Dany, if that's what the plan is. But I definitely think she's not as hellbent on being a warrior for the rest of her life as she was. When we got into this episode, the start of the season, she wanted to be an assassin for the rest of her life. She wants no one. She's not a lady, I think. If we're going towards a happy ending for the season, for the series, I think she will end up with Gendry. And she'll happily live her life out as the Lady of Storm's End.
I don't want anything you just said to happen. I just double checked the trailer. As I said, there is you see her walking through like a building or something like that, and then they show her what looks like looking through over the shoulders of soldiers who are all like obviously lined up looking at Dany, I guess, or whatever's happening. But it's now this is where based solely on this shot is where I'm going to dive my first sink in theory. Ready? Here's my first like throw, a wind, sink, and complete miss, because I'm pretty sure we've been wrong this entire show. So what I think possibly could happen, because this shot of her kind of looking through, because this is obviously the first time Arya's back in King's Landing since season 1, right? Last time I saw her in a similar shot was her looking over a bunch of people in a crowd watching the higher ups up there doing something, was the moment she saw her father get her head chopped off, right? So that's what that shot in the trailer kind of evokes for me. Similar feeling. And I'm like, maybe Dany's trying to chop Jon's head off or something like that for treason. Something along those lines. And
I can definitely see Jon, Davos, Tyrion.
Oh, they're all up shit creek, I feel like. Because at this stage, I don't, there's no way, and it would be bad. Like, if you've already rushed and you're like, Dany's Mad Queen now, you have to commit to that in the last episode, right? Like, I want them to, I don't want them to dial it back, because you've got there, guys. You know, we've got here. You need to finish it up, but don't dial it back in the last episode. Like, oh, she just went mad for a second, but, you know, she had her stickers. Now she's okay. Like, you have to commit. She's fucking bonkers, right? She's now the villain of the show. That's what they want us to believe and see, right? Is that, you know, you thought all these other people were the big bags. Well, guess what? It's been Dany this entire time. And I do see people arguing online about if that works or not. And I'm kind of in the middle of, as I said, I'm okay with it because they have teased it, obviously, throughout the entire show's run. It's part of her lineage. They've constantly talked about how she could go there. Throughout the seasons, ever since like season 2, 1, whatever, they've always shown moments of her kind of hinting at going, like she can be a bit mad and off the loose end, and she's always had Jorah and then Missandei as two people to kind of ground her, and then she lost them both, and now she's gone completely mad, right? I'm fine with her being the Mad Queen. As I said, my problem was there wasn't enough time
to get there. There was no scenes with Missandei and Daenerys talking about stuff. There was no scenes with Jorah and Daenerys talking about stuff.
Yes. There's just, that's my problem there. But then...
and now she goes mad. Second last episode, we get one episode of her being mad.
Yes. That's it.
It's kind of, it's a bit too close to the end.
Yes. You needed more time of her just being mad, or on the outskirts of being mad, before not just like burning everything. And you know what I mean? Like we needed her to get there without getting there in the moment of the battle, kind of thing, to really delve into what kind of character she is and how she got pushed there and how she got there, blah, 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 blah. I do feel like she was always going there. I always felt like that's kind of where it was somewhat going to go, because they were at least hinting at it. And honestly, I could have felt like the show could have ended without her getting there, and I'd be like, okay, so they just teased it, but she overcome it, whatever. But they've chosen and gone the route of she went there. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm fine with that. Somewhat. But nonetheless, I just hope that they can now commit to it in the final episode and be like, she's not, that's what I'm saying, she wasn't angry. Like, she got really mad and she burnt people. They really need to commit to that is her now. She's fucking the Mad Queen. She is nuts. You know what I mean? They really need to, I think, to kind of finish the show off, or try and finish the show up strongly, so at least some people will like it, even though I can't wait till next week and look on Twitter as soon as the episode's over. It's going to be an absolute fucking firestorm. If you thought King's Landing was burning was bad, wait until you see Twitter burn down next week. But I feel like you just need her to be, you need to sell her now in the final episode. They need to do everything they possibly can to just sell her as the Mad Queen. Because as you're saying, we've only got one episode of her actually walking around, talking to people, interacting as this, you know? So we need that. But, so yeah, that's why I reckon she will come out. She's like, Tyrion, you're fucked. Jon, you're fucked. What the fuck? Davos, you're fucked. Whoever else, you're all fucked, right? Now, I'm hoping that we can, not Sansa, Arya will be the one to kill her. And I can see this shot of her in the trailer watching, right? Seeing her brother up there, thinking about her dad, thinking about similar things that's happened. Except for this time, unlike season 1, she ain't going to sit there and just let it happen. This time she's going to come in and she's going to fucking save Jon.
No, I don't think so. I've got the perfect.
Okay, go on.
She's about to say Dracarys, and then arrow straight to the back, through her chest, through her heart, And then in the distance, you see Bronn with the crossbow. And he yells out, "What's double high garden?"
That would be funny, if anything.
The internet would go crazy for that, yeah.
I could see next week, though, Jon dying, Dany dying, and the only person... All right, well, let's boil it down, right? Because obviously we picked who we thought would be on the throne at the end of the season, before the season started. We're now one episode away, and we can't change our predictions because they're set, and we'll go through those.
I'm pretty sure my prediction is definitely not coming true. Of Jon and Dany happily living on the throne.
Throw it together. So, with one episode to go, who do you think is going to end up on the throne? How do you think they're going to end up on the throne? Like, how are we going? What do you reckon?
I honestly don't know.
Neither do I, but I'm guessing.
Like, it could go... I don't have any idea of what really is going to happen next episode. Is there an actual throne?
I don't know.
The throne was in the keep.
I don't know. Yeah, that's the thing.
That's a sad thing. They should have shown a shot of the throne, like,
burnt. I'm wondering if I'm hoping the opening credits next week when they go to King's Landing.
Rubble.
It's just rubble. It's entirely fucking rubble. Yeah. Here's what I want to happen. This is not what I'm predicting, but this is also what I think possibly could happen, and I would be perfectly okay with it because it's my happy ending at this point. Is this? I don't really want Jon to die, but if he dies, I could see it happening. I don't want Dany on the throne. She's Mad Queen. She has to die. Someone's going to kill that fucking bitch, right? Jon maybe gets killed by Dany, something like that. I can see that happening. The person I want to come in and have the throne, Sansa Stark.
Yeah.
Would you be okay with Sansa on the... Well, how about this? Sansa comes in.
I get the more of the feeling we were going, like you said, there's going to be like a committee or something.
Yeah.
An alliance.
So Sansa comes in.
A group effort to lead.
Sansa comes in. She doesn't take the Iron Throne. She kills... Maybe she kills fucking... Maybe she's the one who kills Dany. That would be quite funny after all their brooding and stuff the whole season. But she comes in and then she's not like, I'm taking the Iron Throne. I just want Winterfell. But she has brokered a communication between other parts of the realm or whatever. And yeah, as I've been talking about several times, there is no Iron Throne. There's just more of a democracy type scenario happening rather than a ruling singular body.
Person.
Yeah. I honestly don't know if the show's going to go that direction because I have nothing really to back that up too much.
I don't know how you do that in 80 minutes.
The show opens with Dany giving a big... the episode opens with Dany landing, giving a big speech about how they've won and taken down everything. And then that goes on for about 20 minutes. In the end, 20 minutes into the episode, Sansa shows up. She's backed up by Greyjoy and her army fleet coming in as well. I don't... that's what I'm saying. I'm just completely pulling this out of my ass because I don't really have anything to back any of this up. But this is... I know
how it's going to...
This is my good ending. I want this ending. This would be okay.
I've got a pitch.
Sansa on the throne. Sansa is the leader.
I haven't got an ending, but what I want to see is Jon, Davos, and Tyrion all sentenced to death. Dany says Dracarys. They all get set alight. Jon doesn't die because he's a Targaryen.
Yeah. Well,
he does the Night King. He raises his arms. And then he and Grey Worm trial by combat. For the Iron Throne.
That seems like a horrible episode to me. The big finale. That's
like the first 15 minutes.
First 15 minutes. I don't know.
It's not the whole episode. Jeez.
Yeah. I don't know. It's really hard. They obviously don't show much and the show's just completely left field a lot and stuff. But I don't know. Let's wrap it up because we have a couple days away and then it's all over. You know, it's the end of the show. Love it or hate it, the show is coming to an end next week.
Yeah. Then all we have to look forward to is the spin-off shows, and maybe George R. R. Martin will finish the books. Not likely.
Not likely. I think you've just got the spin-off shows.
I would be interested to see who wants to read the books now that they know how it all plays out.
I don't know. I feel like if you were someone who was going to read the books, you would have read the books by now. I find it weird.
No, like the potential future books if they ever come out.
Oh, well, look, if they release, like, say the last 2 books magically drop tomorrow, I would Wikipedia the plots of them, obviously. I would never read them. But thank you for joining us for this penultimate episode of South of... No, it's not even the penultimate. Next week's penultimate,
No, it's
actually.
not.
Yeah, sorry, it doesn't work out well. Thank you for joining us this week on South of King's Landing. You can watch the video version of this show to see our lovely faces over at youtube.com/Explosion Network, where you should subscribe, like the video, and ring the bell. Actually, don't ring the bell. It upsets Danny, I've heard, so maybe don't do that. But make sure you don't miss our next week's episode where we'll be talking about the season finale, the show finale even of the entire show. Or if you'd rather just listen to the show, you can do that. It is available on all podcasting services, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and whatever else. Just search them for South of King's Landing or the Explosion Network. It probably show up either way. You can follow me on Twitter at Vivaldil, VIVALADIL. You can follow Ash on Twitter at AshLeyHobley. And you can follow the Explosion Network, of which this is a product on at Explosion Pod. Thank you for watching, listening. Thank you for being along for the ride. Till next week. Remember, the North remembers.